let's start with what we know about happiness. There have been hundreds, literally hundreds of studies by economists and social scientists and psychologists about happiness, hundreds over the past 30 and 40 years.
Real happiness in life, in my opinion, comes from being the person that you want to be, all right?
The most interesting question is what brings happiness? And we know the answer to that too. It's three things. Three things bring happiness: genetics, big life events, and choices.
I think success is just being happy with your life. I want to be happy because if I was like rich, actually, no happy. Success means happiness.
So part of the deal with this, let me kind of personalize this a bit, and then we're going to play with the neuroscience under it and find out why this is. Part of why I've studied human potential for all these years, because there was something that I was looking at in my own life, that I felt like there was something more there that I wasn't quite getting. And I thought I was living life well, but something was missing for me. See if you can relate to some of the things I'm talking about. I don't think your story should be mine, but just see what you can see. Because I knew about achievement. I was always a great student. I was valedictorian in my class and graduated summa cum laude, and I was able to achieve. And I rose to national prominence in 2 different careers by the time I was 28. So I knew how to do well. But at the same time I was having career success, I was overweight, overwrought, overstressed. Even despite my success, I was really unhappy. I felt very empty. And I felt like I was sleepwalking through my life. I was doing a lot of things, but there was a numbness.
After my first brutal winter up here in my hamster wheel job, I felt more hollow, unsatisfied, and alone than ever before. I couldn't even recognize the girl standing in front of the mirror. Initially, I listened to society's happiness prescription, and I asked for a raise thinking more money would help. I bought a bunch of new stuff, tried on a bunch of different diets, and I even exercised more than I already did. 4 hours a day was not enough, but it didn't work, and I got a lot sicker. So after some medical testing and visits to my doctor, she nonchalantly informed me, "So, Caitlin, it looks like you have a sluggish thyroid known as hypothyroidism. Your adrenals are shot. You've developed dysbiosis of the gut. Your hormones look like menopausal women, which may be polycystic ovarian syndrome, but this does not look good for conceiving a baby." What?
Is it really the happy people that are grateful? We all know quite a number of people who have everything that it would take to be happy, and they are not happy because they want something else or they want more of the same. And we all know people who have lots of misfortune that we ourselves would not want to have, and they are deeply happy. They radiate happiness. We are surprised. Why? Because they are grateful. So it is not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy. If you think it's happiness that makes you grateful, think again.
Through some of the work I was doing, I'd started a demonstration program, one of the first programs in the country to set up programs for students with disabilities to be successful on campus. And I designed it and did research and designed this model program. So I had these students that had paraplegic, they were quadriplegic or blind or deaf or cerebral palsy, all kinds of things they were dealing with. And then I also had a program after that I started for at a university for little children that had developmental disabilities and their families. And there was something that I noticed, because these people were dealing with some really tough stuff. It wasn't easy to be doing what they were doing. And I realized that many of these students and many of these families with these tough situations they were dealing with were much happier than I was. And the contrast was very stark for me. And and it was upsetting to me because I was happy that they were happy, but I couldn't understand what was going on. And all those things started dawning on me, and that was what was being modeled by the people that I was working with. There was a genuineness in the moment, where they were present with whatever struggles that were going on. Not everybody, but many of them. There was a realness. It was so much different in quality. And I woke up and I realized that I had learned to master my eating by that point, but I was still addicted to thinking about food. I hadn't shifted my relationship inside. I hadn't mastered my mood addictions that had me feeling certain ways, and then I'd compensate with other soft addictions. It wasn't about doing the right stuff and achieving and trying to be perfect and being good. It was not it.
Money and possessions are of society's utmost importance, and happiness is unfortunately an afterthought. So it is up to us to change our values. We have to consume less to work less. And this requires mindfulness. And then we can make time to work at ourselves and help each other.
That it really wasn't about that, it was about consciousness. It was about being mindful, not just my mindful practices. It was about being present in the moment, feeling what I was feeling, being able to express those feelings, share those, to be engaged fully in the moment. And moment by moment, day-to-day kinds of experiences. It was about being fully alive and being more real and being willing to make mistakes and be more vulnerable.
الله في الظاهر خلق لنا حدودا، من هنا إمكانية أن نصطاد أيها الأخوة، وأن ننزف وأن ننزف ثم نموت. عندنا حدود احنا، الجسم هذا، القربة هذه البشرية هذه، قربة الجلد هذه عندها حدود وفيها كمية دم محدودة، لذلك ينزف الدم يموت الإنسان. في الباطن ملناش حدود، عالم فسيح لا متناهي يحكي قبس الله تبارك وتعالى نفخت فيه من روحي. لذلك لو عاش الإنسان مش 1000 سنة، مليار سنة، 100 مليار سنة، يبقى يتعلم ولا يتعلم، يبقى باستمرار يتعلم ويزداد ويحب أن يعرف، ويبقى دائما الإنسان الذي هو إنسان الظمآن للمعرفة، الظمآن للحقيقة، الملتزم بالبحث عن الحقيقة، دائما يبدأ يبحث ويبحث ويبحث. ليه طيب؟ لأنه هذا العالم لا نهائي في الداخل، لا إله إلا الله. من هنا في نهاية المطاف أنا أقول لكم الإنسان حين يكون واعيا بذاته لا يشبعه ولا يقنعه ولا يرضيه إلا ماذا؟ إلا أن يتصل حبله بالله، لا إله إلا الله. ما في شيء لا يمكن والله العظيم أن تشبع هذه الجوعة في فضائك الوجداني الروحاني الداخلي. كل سلطات الدنيا خليك مش مالك على بلدتك الصغيرة، على العالم ما ينفع. لذلك القادة الكبار أحيانا حين كانوا يبلغون آخر مراحل فتوحاتهم كانوا يحبطون. ما فيش عالم آخر يفتح يقولوا خلاص انتهى ما يكفيش، العالم ما يكفي. ليه؟ لأنه هو سلك الطريق الخاطئ اللي بيحتاجوا المليارات. تسمع طبعا هذه الأشياء تصدع تفوش شو تبغون؟ بدنا أكثر كمان. عجيب. طب لو أعطيناه مفاتح كنوز الأرض والله لن يكتفي الإنسان. تعرفوا ليه؟ التفسير السلبي له لأنه طماع وملعون وحقير وكذا بيشبعش. لا، التفسير الإيجابي لأن الله خلقه لا يشبعه إلا الله، وأن إلى ربك المنتهى. ما لم يصل إلى الله لن يشبع، لا من مال، لا من علم، لا من شهوات، لا من سلطة، لا من سطوة، ولا من أي شيء، وسيبقى حائرا بالأخير ويسقط محطما. سيسقط محطما. يقول لك قبض الروح، لم أفعل شيء. طبعا لأنك لم تصل إلى الله. أما إن وصلت إليه فليت شعري ماذا فقد وماذا فاته. من وصل إلى الله ومن وجد الله.
There was something really wrong with the formula that I was going about my life with, because I thought it was being good and being a good girl and working hard and being perfect and doing well and then having a perfect body, perfect situation, perfect circumstances, and it wasn't it. And it was very upsetting to me to realize, because the people I was working with didn't have perfect circumstances or bodies or minds or whatever, yet there was a quality of life that I didn't have. And it really woke me up because I realized, wait a minute, it's not the formula that I thought it was. Because I would work hard and then try to have some recovery. I would work hard and then meditate. I work hard, who's my work hard recovery? How many of you know that one? You work hard and then collapse, work hard and collapse. That formula wasn't doing it for me. Because what I realized was that I was hungry, but not for all the snack food I was eating, and not for all the activities I was buzzing through my life. I was hungry for something much more. I had deeper spiritual hungers. I had deep yearnings on my heart. There were things that I really cared about, much more so. And I realized that I was misreading my yearning and numbing it with my soft addictions. And I didn't know to call them soft addictions at the time, but I realized that that was the case.
من يجرب السعادة عبر لحظة تواصل حقيقي واحدة، لحظة واحدة، لحظة بمعنى الثانية مع الله تبارك وتعالى، لم تكن السعادة مجهولة مطلقا بالنسبة إليه، أصبحت معلوما ولو بدرجة قريبة من الصفرية، لكنها معلومة. ويبدأ الآن يهتدي. تقول لي هذا السر، هذا السبب أن هناك جماعة من العرفاء والأولياء والكبراء عبر تاريخ الدنيا ومن كل الطوائف والملل والأديان في لحظة معينة لا ندري حقيقة هذه اللحظة انسلخوا من الدنيا، طلقوها، وكانت الدنيا عريضة طويلة واسعة مغرية، طلقوها تماما وبدأوا يبحثون عن الله. في الحقيقة يبحثون عن أنفسهم. طبعا أنت تبحث عن مفقود لا إله إلا هو به ظهر كل موجود، ليس مفقودا لا إله إلا هو. أولم يكفي بربك أنه على كل شيء شهيد. تبحث عن نفسك. هؤلاء فعلا يبحثون عن أنفسهم. لم يجد نفسه رغم أنه حصل ما لم يحصله غيره في ميدانه، العلم، المال، السلطة، الجمال، لكنه لم يجد نفسه. عاقل، هذا عاقل. دخل الطريق الخطأ ثم عاد، ثنى عنانه وعاد، قال لا، ليست هذه الطريق، لن أكمل. هناك صراط أخرى لم أجربها، هناك سبيل أخرى لم أعفر قدمي بترابها، مسك وكافور، سأجرب هذه الطريق، لكن لابد أن أبحث عنها. ربما وجد الدلالة عليها في لحظة التواصل تلك الصادقة مع الله تبارك وتعالى. هذه اللحظة أغنى من الدنيا وما فيها يا أخوان. هذه اللحظة كلما استعدتها أو استذكرتها لا تبعث إلا على فرح وامتلاء وغنى وشيء لا يوصف حتى تذوقه. انتهى. لا تطلبه من الكتب، لا تطلبه في الأشعار، في الكلمات، انسى هذا، انسى، وفي المحاضرات والخطب انسى. اطلبه في نفسك، عشه ولو للحظة وستعرف قدره.